Well, we're here today to talk with David Williams, the chairman and CEO of Merkle, about his new book on customer centricity, specifically connected CRM. So, David, you know, you've been at this for 25 years, and why now?
Yeah, I think why now is that, I always wanted to write a book. And, being in this business for 25 years, we continue to see the use of information having a bigger and bigger impact on marketing and consumer engagement. And we think there's a little bit of a perfect storm. The changing digital consumer, if you will, addressability at scale of new marketing platforms, onslaught of big data are all creating what we would consider to be sort of a new playground for competitive advantage. And that's really what led us to write the book.
You know, in that 25 years I talked about, obviously you've seen a lot of evolution. Talk about that evolution and kind of where we are now.
Yeah, I think we grew up certainly as in the database marketing, data technology, and analytic world with a direct marketing context. And I think what we're seeing now is that we basically are applying those principles across the complete customer experience. And from what I've seen is this is not an easy thing to do. So using information to better inform and customize, personalize that experience is really, we believe, like as I said, will be the heart of competitive advantage in the future. And I think our history here at Merkle in building technology and analytics competencies and applying those competencies to marketing has been foundational for us. But ultimately, it really is about the customer and how that customer perceives a brand and their value to that brand.
In the book, you also talk about big macro trends, the big macro trends that are taking place today that are really creating this opportunity. Could you dig into that a little bit?
Yeah, we see three big trends. One is addressability at scale is clearly one of them. The ability or the capability of a Google, a Facebook, a Twitter, these kinds of platforms to understand a known consumer digitally is fundamentally transforming the way we would think about one-to-one marketing or one-to-one consumer experience. So that's one. Two would be social at scale. So the ability of social networks and their influence on the way consumers interact with each other and ultimately the way that they interact with brands is fundamentally a big macro change. And then lastly, mobility at scale. Clearly big influencer on the way consumers are interacting with brands.
In the kind of center of the book is really the connected CRM framework, a way for you to think about connected CRM. And there are 5 components of that. Could you describe that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things we've observed is this is a hard task. So we have the pleasure of working with some of the greatest brands in the world, and to implement these kinds of capabilities is not easy. And so we really believe a highly disciplined, structured approach is necessary. So we spent a lot of time building a framework that has 3 core dimensions in the way that you would actually engage with a consumer: the customer strategy itself, segmentation strategy, portfolio strategy, those kinds of things. Second is the actual experience strategy, so how media experience, channel experience, personalization, customization, targeting, those kinds of things. And then the third dimension would be financial management. So how do we make decisions to invest in a segment or over or under invest in a segment or an individual customer? And then 2 enabling capabilities. The technology associated with doing this kind of work, certainly that tech stack is getting more complicated every day. And then lastly, the organization itself, the transformation and business process organization, compensation systems, all of the things necessary to implement this at scale.
Finally, as you look at key takeaways for people who are going to read this book, what are the top 3 things that come to mind?
I think one is the time is now. I think there needs to be a sense of urgency. I think there's going to be a set of winners and losers here, specifically in a company's ability to understand an individual consumer and customize and personalize the experience for that consumer. And so I think that's number 1. I think number 2 is don't mistake permission for sponsorship. I think too many people, it's too easy. This is almost too rational a subject matter. And I think a lot of people, in a CRM team or a database marketing team or a marketing organization as a whole get permission to move forward in these things, but it's not really the executive sponsorship committed to the kinds of transformation that would be necessary to really do this kind of work at scale. And lastly, find the balance between the capability model and the operating model. I think there's too much focus in this world on capabilities. People go out and get a DMP capability or get a media mix capability or an attribution capability, but they don't really fundamentally understand how all those capabilities will connect together in a true operating model to monetize the kinds of things that we're talking about in the book. So I think those are the big 3.
Well, thanks, David. Again, the book is Connected CRM, How to Optimize Customer Value in a Big Data Digital World.